At some point you will have heard the phrase, gear doesn't matter. In this video we're going to take a look at that phrase and work out what's wrong with it, and hopefully make a new phrase, probably not snappy in fairness, but one that's actually accurate. I think we need to consider what the origins, or the intent of the phrase gear doesn't matter is, because really it's all about how people think that buying more gear is going to make them a better photographer, and we all know that's not going to happen. Or if you don't know that, get it into your head now. A new camera will not make you a better photographer. Simple. Now, of course, we all love new gear. It's in our psyches. We're largely programmed to go and buy things. That's a kind of social programming, marketing, and all these kind of things I don't want to get into, because, well, sometimes they work on me, and I find it, how should I put it, bankrupting. But of course, we shouldn't be afraid of buying new gear, so long as we can afford it and we can justify it, I guess. So long as we appreciate that it has a purpose, and it's not just a kind of whimsical want, kind of because, yeah, everybody else has got one, that kind of thing, because that's when things kind of fall apart. I'm going to give you an example of that right here and now, because this is the very first video that I've recorded on my brand new, to me, Osmo Pocket 3. Now, if you followed the channel for a while, you'll know that I used to have an Osmo Pocket 2, and indeed even an Osmo Pocket 1. I've still got the Pocket 1, but it's got a bit of a fault. And the Pocket 2 I lost earlier in the year, because ironically it fell out of my pocket while I was at the photography show in Birmingham, and nobody handed it in. So if you're watching and you've got my Pocket 2, and you'll know that it's my Pocket 2 because I had my SD card with a whole video on it, then shame on you. So anyway, away from that little rant about losing a camera, this is the new Pocket 3, new to me. It's a refurbished product that I bought off a well-respected refurbishing company on eBay, and I paid very little money for it. And I've been holding off buying this all year because, well, money, and it's not a cheap thing. And I've been using, where is it? Should have prepared this, shouldn't I? I've been using my phone on a gimbal. I long ago had a DJI Osmo 3, Mobile 3, and I, about 2 months ago, upgraded to a Model 6, and I've been getting on just fine with it. But the setup with that and a gimbal and everything is a barrier to me recording the videos, because whilst the 6 is better than the 3 and I can disassemble it and put it together quickly, there's all kinds of little issues around it that are a pain in the backside. I wouldn't say it stopped me recording videos, because obviously I've been putting one out a week and sometimes more, but it's more of a hassle. And also running with a Samsung phone as well, I was limited in what the camera app could do and such. So when I saw this for silly money, I just leapt at it. But will it get me making better videos? No, because I'm the creator of the videos. It's me that comes up with the ideas, the ramble, the well, everything really. You know, I'm the head cook and bottle washer. I'm the cameraman. I'm the screenwriter, the script writer. I'm the editor. I'm everything behind it. And it's fair to say that making part of the process easier is a great thing. It's not going to make me better at it. But what it will do is give me a better picture quality, a better video quality. I can work more in low light. I can live stream with it, which is more than I can. Well, I can with my camera, but I can't have constant power to it, and all kinds of little things like that. So I'm hoping that this purchase will mean a big difference in my workflow and a small increase in the picture quality, the video quality, but it's not going to affect the content quality, because that's all on me. That's all from up here. Given that everything's on me, I hope that you're enjoying the video so far, and if you are, that you're going to click the like button that's down there and subscribe, maybe even join. But also realize that it's not just the content that's on me, but also the framing of the video, but really more importantly, because of the photography discussion more than video, the framing of a subject. And as I've wandered around here, this is a part of the woods that is relatively new to me, never walked in this part. I've found this stack of dead logs covered in moss, trunk here, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm looking into the light here, which is maybe a bit of a problem, but I'm thinking at this and I'm looking and I'm thinking, this looks really nice. How can I isolate this? And this is where the idea of gear mattering kind of comes into play. Because how I take this photograph is determined by the kind of gear that I have. Very specifically, of course, the lenses that I'm carrying. And my backpack is stuffed full of gear because if I've got it, I'm going to take it with me. And I don't like traveling light. It's on my back, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm young and virile. But yeah, if I've only got a long lens, which most people probably wouldn't have only a long lens, and more likely to have a shorter one. But if I've only got a long lens, then I've got to get further back in order to capture this. If I have a macro lens, I can get in and really get in and look at the details of it. Or, of course, I can use the longer lens to isolate certain parts of it as well. But if I've only got a fixed lens or something, I'm rather more hampered by it. It doesn't mean that I can't take the shot, but it does mean that I'm more limited in what I can shoot with it. And there's also the issue of stabilization. Obviously the camera's got stabilization in it, yours might not have, in which case one of these is quite important, but these are quite important at a slightly later stage once you've found your composition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around this and I'm going to try and find the best kind of composition with it. And in order to do that, I might use the phone. Why does that come in handy? Now, it's really simple actually. It's because it provides a frame around your subject. I've spoken about this before in certain places, particularly the video up here about how you can shoot something. I talk about how kind of putting visual blinkers on means that you can isolate more with your eyes. How many times have you accidentally had your phone on kind of in your lap or something, and it's moved onto camera and it's pointing at your feet, and all of a sudden you've seen an angle of the world that you've never seen before. You think, oh, that's interesting. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So back to gear. The sensible way of shooting this is with my wide zoom lens, 12 to 40 in this case, which in full frame terms ends up being 24 to 80. I'm going to find a position for this. I'm mindful of the image that I have in my head. I've pre-visualized this. Again, I've got a video about that. You can check that up out in the corner. Check that up. Check it out up in the corner up here. My mental image of this is to have it with some underexposing in it. I want to have this not in the bright kind of scene that we're in at the moment. It's going to be dumbed down quite a bit, I suspect. And I've got to be honest, I'm not holding out a great deal of hope for the image. It's not going to be a belter. Well, if it is, that's not what I'm seeing it as right now. But for the point of the video, it's enabling me to illustrate the kind of things that I'm talking about, and I've got quite a bit more to say just yet. That's probably going to make you turn off, isn't it? If you haven't turned off, thank you, then the process for me here is to get this. Oh, my camera is on. It just thought about it a while. My process is to kind of frame up here. I've got this set to a 16:9. I don't want that. I want that in a 4:3, primarily because I see this as being a vertical portrait image, because there's kind of more height to it than there is width. I don't see that there's a great deal of visual interest over here, and there's certainly too messy of an interest here with these young silver birches. It's a kind of long flowing image going up, which might require me to kind of come lower like this and point down somewhat. That's kind of working. Or can I come higher and do the same thing? What does that? That kind of works better. And now, without any hint of contrition or contriving in this, I'm going to work on this tripod. Now, you may have seen me use this tripod once or twice in videos already, and this is quite a low-cost tripod from K&F, and it does some very interesting things with the head, and we'll come on to that perhaps later. There's a little mushroom in there that I fancy shooting as well, which may well dictate what I do. But already with these legs down, you'll see that this is quite high. But also I've got a center column here, which I can push all the way up. And there's also another internal center column. So if I were to pull that up and let's put not all the way, because that's going to make it very wobbly, but we'll come up to kind of here and tighten that up. And I don't even know whether that's still in frame, but when fully extended, this is about 2.3 meters tall, and that's amazing, particularly for something that is so kind of compact in its in its walkabout kind of travel stage. And also you can make it even more compact than I'm using, because these legs will invert and fold up up here. Well, obviously not up here, because it won't self-suspend from sky hooks, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is this very modestly priced tripod, reasonably well built, does something that none of the other tripods that you see me use will do. It goes way above my head, and for a lot of times when you're creating images, it's actually really beneficial to really kind of look down on something. Yes, of course, you lose a certain bit of camera control, but with Wi-Fi on cameras and such, you can at least help frame up. You can get a bit of finessing. I suppose you could carry a step or something with you, or stand on a tree trunk in situations like this. But the important thing is that height. You know, there are certain things that we can't easily overcome. You know, I can't physically get up there, so I've got to use some kind of remote control if I'm using it at those kind of levels. But if you need that kind of reach, this thing's dirt cheap. Now, I've got a composition that I quite like. The difficulties with all of these situations is, yeah, we've got a bit of a mess. Yeah, that's woodland, isn't it? But I hope that with getting the exposure right and a bit of post-processing, maybe a vignette around the subject a little bit, and some careful dodging and burning, I think this might work out quite well.
Well, I think I need you to tell me whether this has worked out well or not. I really struggled with this. The one thing I didn't identify at the time was just how difficult it was in a two-dimensional environment to pick out the subject from the background. I should have at least tried a polarizing filter to take down the highlights on all of those leaves around it. It's taken a lot of kind of editing and cropping to get to this, which I think is borderline. Just goes to show you just can't get it right all the time. You often miss something and it screws up. You may have a different opinion. Let me know.
Now, I saw somebody in the comments recently try to chastise me for using a tripod in a way they felt was wrong. Can't remember particularly what the generalised comment was, but it was something along the lines of two of the worst things you can do with a tripod: use the center column and something else. I don't remember what the other thing was. There's an incorrect belief amongst some people that using the center column is bad, and it isn't. Believe me, center columns are wonderful things because, as you saw there, it gave me reach from something that's really rather small in the first place. But crucially, once I've kind of found my position here and I just need to get that little bit of height, the last thing I want to do is pick the bloody thing up and extend a leg. Oh, where was my position? That's useless to me. Now, what they might have been trying to get at more is the idea that the more you extend things, the wobblier it becomes. And of course, that's true. But so long as you know that, so long as you work with that, what's the problem? Yeah, if there's a gale blowing through here, you'd have to be absolutely mad. Earlier on in the year, one of my really heavy Giotto's tripods up on the hills, up on the coast up there, like it's in a video somewhere. I'll probably link to that as well if I can remember which one it is. Note to self, it's the one Sheringham golf course. There we go. And on that one, I had to hang my bag under the tripod to stop the micro jitters that are coming from the wind. Let's face it, I haven't got that happening here, and indeed in lots of my situations I don't have that happening. I've no qualms whatsoever, and neither should you, about using the center column, so long as you are fully aware that using a 2-second timer or a 12-second timer or a 5-second timer or whatever to steady the thing is important, or if you're using a cable release or a remote shutter of some description to stop that wobble, to let it settle before the camera operates the shutter. I don't understand the problem. Perhaps if someone's got another reason, you can let me know, but it's not going to stop me using the center columns of cameras or of tripods, because they're there for a reason, and I would rather get my approximate position, particularly in a situation like this where I have a very uneven floor, and yeah, moving the tripod an inch or yeah, whatever, it is quite troublesome one way or another. I can kind of work on that here, and it's, if I'm wrong, let me know why. But otherwise, yeah, click the like button. Second time I've said that this video. I kind of like this. I'm troubled a little bit by these sticking up, because they kind of lead the eye that way into the frame. And I think perhaps I've also not got the foot of this one as it kind of leads in. That's kind of cut off. So maybe I come back a little here and extend up further. Wasn't that so much easier than extending 3 legs? Yeah, it's a little wobbly, but you know, I've still got a 12-second timer for when it was up in the gods up there.
Now, of course, in the field, I still hadn't identified that this composition wasn't a great one, so I went ahead and shot something else. Just double down on your mistakes, will you? I've got to be honest, I don't much like this. A big shout out and thanks to Rob Track. Rob has a very popular YouTube channel, and every week he puts out a live stream where he edits other people's photos, and he very kindly agreed to edit this. So here's 2 edits from Rob Trek. You'll see instantly that he's cropped it, and I think Rob's done a much better job of this. I don't think I identified really the intrinsic problems with this this composition. I just muffed up entirely. Why not go and take a look at Rob's channel? There's a link down below, including to the edit where he actually worked on these images.
So back to the topic of gear. So far, I've taken a shot that I almost certainly wouldn't have been able to take a shot if it wasn't for the fact that I could get this high up. The image would have been different. Perhaps it would have been better, perhaps it would have been worse. I don't know. All I know is that getting that height enabled me to get a composition that I felt worked. The real party trick of this is the fact that this center column does something else as well, which I find absolutely mind-blowing. It does this. Now you might say, oh, you've got tripods that do that already. Hold on, the stopper's come out. Let me just screw that back in. This is actually one of the things that slightly annoys me about this. That tends to loosen, but you could easily stop that just with a rubber or fiber washer on that. That's not an issue. So go back. Yes, you might say, but you've got tripods that do that. Not quite, because the tripods that I have that do something like this will either go only at 90 degrees to the center column, or the center column itself is articulating off of the tripod body and not off the center column. Now, why does this make a difference? Now, I don't know that I'm going to use this in a moment. Perhaps I'm shooting off before I realise that I need to and such on here. I might be able to demonstrate this, but let me just talk through it briefly, because this kind of gives us the benefit of both worlds. Because if I have this camera inverted, or I should say the center column inverted, I'm just being ham-fisted with this, and it's like that in the tripod, I have got a huge amount of maneuverability with this, including angle adjustment, where it will lock at something like every kind of 5 degrees or so, thereabouts, and it's giving a great deal of flexibility that the other tripods don't have. As I said, yeah, if you can only pivot off of here, your ability to get low to the ground with things is impaired. I wouldn't say it's not awful, but by any metric, being able to pivot off of this center column rather than the tripod is so much better. And as I said, I can't believe just how low priced this is. I'll put the links and such down in the description. What I don't like about it, well, there's not a lot I don't like about it, in fairness. For a tripod of this kind of price, it has screw-in feet, which is great. But that also means that this is a standard 1/4" thread in here, so you can put spikes on it. I'm not quite so keen on these clips. They work absolutely fine. I've got no complaint of them. I've been using this for perhaps a month, and you may have seen me carrying it around. I'm carrying this around in preference to the Giottos tripod, which I bang on about so much. And perhaps I'm a little bit spoilt with that, because that is an incredibly well-built piece of kit. I'm not saying that this isn't. It just doesn't feel as positive. But then again, nor would I expect it to, because this costs less than £100. So, you know, kind of no-brainer. It's not majorly heavy, and as I said, compact it down even further. These legs will fold back over there to take that out of the height of it as well, so it effectively becomes the height of just the folded telescoped in legs. It's quite nice. Overall, looks good, doesn't it? Lovely bits of orange. I like orange. Comes with a bag Whoever uses a tripod bag, I don't know, I've never seen anyone use a tripod bag, but it comes with a bag, and it's got the standard, what is this, it's the BH20L ball head, which is quite commonly used across a lot of K&F tripods. Perfectly capable ball head, not the greatest obviously, but certainly not the worst ball head you're ever going to use. I'm not going to pretend it's not as wobbly as a jelly just turned out of a mould. I mean, it is, clearly it is. I mean, how could it not be? Yeah, all of those joints and everything else. It's not necessarily a facet of its manufacture, it's a facet of what it is. But you tell me how else I can get the camera in that position without interfering so much with the environment, without damaging something. At the very least, I'd have to use the bracketry that I invented, if you like, that's in another video that I'll stick up in the corner. I've never stuck so many videos up in the corner. Maybe this new camera is affecting the way I make videos, I don't know. But back to this, gear matters. Now, again, I don't want to get too close to this. I would much prefer to get more into the macro realm and get the camera within a foot or so of this subject rather than the 2.5 feet or so that it's at the moment. But, you know, in order to do that, I've got to interfere more with that environment, and I just don't want to do that. So I'm using the tripod as it's meant to be used. I quite like the shot. Well, I say that now. Let's see what it looks like after I've processed it.
So I think this turned out okay, and it's a great example of how having gear helps you do things. I guess over time, you could also say that it can change your skill set, but immediately nothing has changed apart from the fact that I've been aided in getting a photograph that would have been otherwise difficult.
Could I get this shot without the tripod? Yes, but it would be more awkward. Could I get it without this amazing macro lighting setup down here from Adaptalux? Yes, but it would be a lot more difficult. What gear is enabling me to do is get the shot, which I could get otherwise, probably not the same shot, but very similar, but it's enabling me to get it with a streamlined workflow. And this is where gear matters. It's not in that you can't get these images without it. I could have probably, in fairness, I could have probably put a little grip on my camera and a little tripod in there and got this mushroom shot with my, did I say camera? I meant phone. I meant phone, of course. I could have probably got this mushroom shot with my phone, but it wouldn't have been half as good as with a 20 megapixel camera with 1,500 pounds of glass in front of it, with directional light and all of these other little bits. And I'm not saying you need to aspire to this stuff, and I'm certainly not saying that I'm encouraging you to get a bout of gas, but you know, it's gear affects how you work, but it doesn't affect necessarily what you work with. It doesn't stop you getting images if you haven't got it, but it can make images easier to achieve, and you could perhaps get some better images as a result of having some of this gear. You know, a small square light that you've seen me use on and off for years now would light that in a very similar way. The tripods that I carry around would work with it in a very similar way. Heck, I moaned a few weeks ago about not being able to use this freewheel tripod upside down entirely because this that handle is the lowest part of it. But if you use my my invention, problem's gone away. It's I can't emphasize enough that, yeah, gear helps, gear matters, but it matters far more to your workflow than it does to your ability to get an image. And the one thing it will not do is it will not make you a better photographer. It might just make you a bit quicker.